lot of things to get through in this video. It's gonna be so long, but I'm gonna try my hardest to make it as condensed as possible and just fly through these. I'm gonna go through all of the books that I have read in March, April, and May, seeing as it is June now. Literally in April, I read 4 books. I have some stats. We're gonna start though with March. In March, I read 11 books with a total number of pages of 3,982 books. My longest book was 628 pages, and my shortest book was 240 pages. I read 3 romanticises, 2 mysteries, 2 romance books, 2 fantasy book, 2 YA romance books, 2 YA fantasy books, 1 romance book. And my ratings were 3 2 stars, 3 3 stars, 4 4 stars, 1 5 star, for an average rating of 3.25 stars or 3 1/4, however you want to do it. So let's get into it. I am finally getting to this video because I have wanted so badly to put these books on my read shelf, and I haven't because I wanted to film the video before I went and did that so that I didn't have to go pull the books off. And so I'm very excited to do this video. You have no idea. In March, I started off reading Throne of the Fallen, not Throne of Glass, Throne of the Fallen. This is by Carrie Maniscalco, and this is my longest book at 628 pages. I gave it 2 stars. I felt like there was no plot to this, and I also felt that this was about 400 pages too long. I just didn't understand why we were going through all of that, and it was a little dull for me. Do I recommend it? I don't know. I really don't know. It really depends on how you are as a reader. If you just want a romance book that has a bit of fantasy in it, I think this is good for you. If you want a fantasy book with a bit of romance in it, I do not think you would like this. Like, I just don't think you would like this. Everything was very simplified, and it just, I don't know. Did I get the sequel? Yes, I did. I have already pre-ordered that, so I mean, what are you gonna do? I next read Finley Donovan Jumps the Gun. This is a mystery book, and it was so good. I loved this book. I gave this book 4 stars. It was so funny. It was so entertaining. I love Finley Donovan. I love this whole series. It was just so much fun to be in her world and like see everything that was going on. I just had such a good time, so I definitely recommend this series in general. I read The Siren next. This is a book that has been on my physical TBR for I think 4 years. And I finally read it. I was planning on unhauling some stuff, and I'm really glad that I didn't because I loved this book. This was a YA romantasy type of thing, I don't know, but it's about mermaids, and it was so good. It was like The Little Mermaid almost, and it just was amazing. I loved the story. I loved the ocean in it. Like, it was just so cool how like the ocean was its own character. This book I gave 3 stars. It is a YA read, so it was very easy and very straightforward, but I definitely loved it. So definitely would recommend this for anyone who's in their YA fantasy romantasy era. I read XOXO next. This is by Axio, and I had such a good time reading this. He's a cellist. He's like a boy band Korean pop star, and they go to the same school together, and they have this little romance, and it's cute, and it's adorable, and it's fun, and it's easy, and I really liked it. So if you're interested in like a fun K-drama-esque type of book, I highly recommend this one. This one I gave 4 stars. I read The Way I Used to Be. This I gave 4 stars. It is another YA romance. It is very dark and heavy though, so definitely like make sure you're in a good place. This deals with some pretty heavy topics for a high schooler, and there's a lot that goes on. If you've read Speak or there was another book, oh my gosh, I can't think of it right now. Go Ask Alice. I think that's what it was called. Go Ask Alice. Correct me if I'm wrong. But if you read books like that, early 2000s, like 2010s, that type of timeline, you will remember when this heaviness was very popular and very in for like all YA books. Just be prepared for that, okay? Like, it really tugged at my heart and made me cry a lot. So do I recommend it? Yeah, I do. I recommend it, but I only recommend it for people who are in a good place in their head. All in all, was a good book. I then read Finley Donovan Rolls the Dice. This is a mystery book. I gave this 4 stars. It was so cute. It was so fun. It's a new setting. They go off to Atlanta, and I mean, they never fail to make me laugh so hard. These characters are hilarious. They get into these situations that are just like so unrealistic, and yet it works perfectly in everything that's going on. It was just great. It was funny. I loved it. I definitely recommend this. I recommend the whole series. If you can get your hands on the whole series, definitely read all of it. It was just top notch. I read Bride next. I gave this book 2 stars. It was not my favorite. This is another romantasy. It's Ali Hazelwood's first fantasy-esque book. I would not classify this as a fantasy, to be honest with you. This is very much a romance book, and there's a couple of paranormal elements to it, but all in all, you could take out the paranormal elements and the whole book still works. So I really would not consider it fantasy, if that makes sense. Was it entertaining? No. I just didn't feel like this was one of her best pieces. I felt like it was missing a lot, and I felt like she summed up what she was missing with, I don't feel like talking about this right now, so I'm just not going to. There were actual scenes where world building was so important, and she even says in the book, this is the part in the movie where they would go into world building, but I always find that boring, so I'm not going to. And I'm like, this is what we need though if you want this to be a fantasy. I don't know what to tell you. Was it for me? No, it wasn't. But I have met a couple people who really did like this book and were very fond of it. And I've met people who were like, yeah, it's kind of a pass for me. All in all, it's really up to your tastes. This is just not what I wanted out of a fantasy novel. If she had just made this a straight romance book, I think I would have loved it. But because she tried to incorporate fantasy stuff, I just wasn't about it. So the next books that I read were the Hazelwood series, and this is a YA fantasy series. We have the Hazelwood, the Night Country, and then Tales from the Hinterland. This book is what these 2 books are based about. I highly recommend reading this book first. This book came out last. Read it first, because that makes this one so much better, like 20 million times better. So definitely read this one first so that you understand what the stories are about, and then read this one and this one, okay? Like definitely, like this is the only time I'm gonna tell you, read these books out of order, okay? Because it just works out that way. Anyways, these are all YA fantasy books. This one is 359 pages, and I gave it 3 stars. And then this one is also YA fantasy, and I gave it 2 stars. Obviously a YA fantasy, I gave it 3 stars. I think the first book was very good. I think the second book was trying to be as good as the first, but it just wasn't. It didn't feel as Alice in Wonderland-y. It just felt like it was trying really hard to be cool. I don't know, it was weird. And then this one was really fun. I liked this one though. And then the last book that I read in March, my goodness gracious, is Archer's Voice. Hopefully the video for this has already come out. I read this in my Natalie Made Me Read It series. This is 377 pages, and I gave it 5 stars. It was fantastic. I loved it. I loved everything about it. It just was really, really good. Absolutely recommend this one. Absolutely recommend this one. This one destroyed me. Absolutely recommend. In April, I only read 4 books. I read a total of 1,470 pages. My longest book was 397 pages, and my shortest book was 313 pages. I read 3 romance books, 1 thriller, and I had 1 1-star, 1 2-star, 1 4-star, and 1 5-star for an average of 3-star rating. This is the first book that I read in April, or at least the first book that I finished in April. And I gave this book 2 stars. It's Pretty Little Mistake. This was in my pregnancy announcement video, which came out maybe a couple videos ago. You'll have seen this one. It was fun. No, it wasn't. It was not fun at all. I did not like this book. I didn't like the guy character, and I didn't like the girl character. And I felt like the only reason why they ended up together is because of this child. Like, there was no rhyme or reason. They didn't even like each other. Like, they did not like each other the majority of this book. So I don't know. I also read Out on a Limb. This book was fantastic. They did not stay together because of the baby, okay? In fact, they would easily have, if it wasn't gonna work, like chemistry wise, they easily would have been like, listen, we'll co-parent, but like, I don't wanna be with you. They were so mature throughout this whole book. It was fantastic. I feel like they would have become a couple regardless if she got pregnant. It was just so good and I really liked it. So I gave this one 4 stars and this was my longest book at 397 pages. This book I DNF'd. I did not finish it. It would have been my longest book at 400 pages, but I didn't read it. So I'm not counting it as my longest book because I didn't read it. So this would have been 400 pages. I gave it a 1 star. I DNF'd it. I didn't like it. I was very hormonal when I started reading it. And so like people were really upsetting me. And I was like, I don't know what your problem is, but you can cut it out now. So that was that. I read The Locked Door and this one I gave 5 stars. This was definitely a highlight of the month. And I had such a good time reading it. This is a thriller book by Frida McFadden. This book is about this girl named Nora. Her dad is a multiple deleter and she thinks nobody knows about like her dad or anything like that. And so she moves into this like random house. Like it's very quiet. There's no furniture or anything like that. And she starts to have a little bit of a romance, but things start happening and her patients suddenly are being deleted from life. She's freaking out because police think that she's the one that's doing it, especially after finding out like who her dad is. The twist at the end was so good. I really liked it. So big fan of this one. Now we're gonna go into May. This is when I got bit by a radioactive spider and started to read everything. So we're really excited about May. In May, I read a total of 16 books. I read 6,410 pages, which is a little impressive if I do say so myself. And my longest book was 530 pages. My shortest book was 296 pages. I read 2 thrillers, 5 romance books, and 9 hockey romance books, which I like did separately because I feel like sports romance books are different than romance books. I had 1 1-star, 4 2-stars, 4 3-stars, 6 4-stars, 1 5-star for an average rating of 3.125 stars or 3 1/8 star, however you like to do it. First book that I finished in May was A Flicker in the Dark. This is in that Natalie vlog that I spoke about earlier. I gave this book 4 stars. And it was fantastic. I really had a good time reading this. I loved the twists. I loved the turns. I loved feeling bamboozled. It was really fun. So I was very excited about that. I read All the Little Raindrops. This is by Mia Sheridan. This is one of her like thriller-esque books. She writes mainly romance books, but I love her as an author and I love the diversity that she gives to us, okay? This was fantastic. This is phenomenal and I really, really, really enjoyed it. Then I read King of Sloth. This is by Anna Huang. This is book 4 of the King of Sin series and it is so good. The romance, amazing. Absolutely amazing. I gave this book 4 stars and I definitely recommend this series. Like if you are interested, read the series. They are interconnected standalones, but I do recommend reading them in order because you see a lot of characters from previous books. Okay. Then I read The Chase. Actually, I just read the entire Briar U series. I read all of these books. So I read The Chase, The Risk, The Play, and The Dare. These are all by Elle Kennedy. These are all hockey romance books. I gave The Chase 3 stars. I thought it was okay. I thought it was a good first of the series book, but I just felt like the characters were like kind of dull for me. I gave The Risk 4 stars. I feel like the chemistry was very real in this one and I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. It was rivals to lovers and it's cute. I like it. So this one was good. I read The Play. I gave this one 2 stars. I was like, this could have been an email. It did not need to be like this. I read The Dare and again, I gave this one 2 stars. It just wasn't my favorite. I don't know. I could have lived without it. I read the entire Off Campus series. This is another hockey romance. This one comes before Briar U, but I read this one second. Why? I don't know. I just did it that way. I don't know. I did end up reading this whole series in 48 hours because I read it during a 48-hour marathon that I did in another book club that I'm in. And it was so fun. I'm thinking, because we're going to do another one this weekend, this coming weekend on June 14th. And so I think that I'm going to do another 48-hour readathon with them, but I think this time I'm going to vlog it. And I think that would be so fun to just like vlog and read for 48 hours. So let me know if you like that idea. I read The Deal. I gave this 3 stars. Oh, by the way, these are all hockey romance books again. I think you can tell by the hockey net, but yeah, I gave this one 3 stars. I gave The Mistake 2 stars. It was fine. I gave this one 3 stars. I gave this one 1 star. It was my least favorite. This one's The Goal. I gave it 1 star. I did not like it. I was not a fan. And then I gave The Legacy 4 stars. I think that this was the best of her entire series. And it's a novella. Like, it's literally a novella, but I loved this one. It was so good. It was super cute. And then, last but not least, I read the Twisted series, which, by the way, you're supposed to read this before you read the King of Sins series. I did not know that. And I figured it out during King of Sloth. I was like, wait a second, these are a lot of names of people that I have no idea who they are. It was fantastic reading this series and understanding a lot of stuff and having my mind blown. I bet for people who read the Twisted series before reading the King of Sin series, I bet when you first read King of Wrath, you were freaking out, because I am freaking out. Like, so good. I read Twisted Love. I gave this 3 stars. I like the characters in this. I think they're cute and they're funny. I really did like Ava. I thought she was adorable. I did not really care for Alex though. I thought he was a little boring, so I don't know. I read Twisted Games. I gave this one 4 stars. This is so cute. Bodyguard romance, and she's a princess. Oh, stop it. This was amazing. So adorable, so good. Absolutely loved it. It just was phenomenal. I read Twisted Hate. I hated this book. I gave this book 2 stars, and it just was not. I loved it up until the 3rd act, and then I hated it. Like, absolutely hated it. I thought that Josh, what he does is just irredeemable. It is not cheating. I don't want you to think like, oh, I know what it is. It's not cheating. I don't like him after this. I think he behaved like an actual child, and worse, like worse. And I think that if this was his initial reaction, I would hate to see what would happen if like something happened again. Like, it was all miscommunication, and it just, I feel like this is a red flag. Like, I feel like Josh is a red flag, so didn't like it. And then last but not least, I read Twisted Lies. This is my longest book of the month at 530 pages, and I love Christian Harper. I gave this book 6 stars. This is a 6-star read for me. This is fantastic, phenomenal, absolutely brilliant. Loved it. I did classify it in the ratings as a 5-star book because I don't have a section for 6 stars, but this is a 6-star, okay? This is a 6-star. It was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. I loved Christian. I love him as a book boyfriend. I think he's so great, and he's just such a fun guy. Honestly, like, he's one of those guys that are like, I don't have feelings, but it is making me have strange sensations in my body when you're not next to me, and I don't know what to do with that. Like, I just love him so much. He's so cute. But yeah, anyways, that was Twisted Life. And that is all that I have read in the last 3 months. So I believe that is what, 31 books. 31 books in the last 3 months, which is, it's about 10 books a month, which is not true because you know, and I know, in April, I only read 4. All in all, I had a good time. I have already knocked out 2 books for the month of June, which is very exciting. And I'm almost done a 3rd, and then I am excited to go straight into a 4th. So I think this will be just as good of a reading month. I am very excited. I'm glad that I'm back into the reading, so I'm excited about that. Now I get to put all of these books onto the reading shelf, which is also very exciting. I have currently read, as of today, I've read 61 books this year. I think I'm gonna start doing longer videos since I think I'm only gonna be uploading once a week. I would like to do that instead of like a bunch of quick videos throughout the week. So let me know how you feel about that, and I will see you guys in the next one. Oh, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all of the YouTube stuff, please and thank you. I really appreciate it. Okay, thanks, bye.